morning. Welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. I am Debbie G, and you know what time it is. That time. It's Friday. It's time for a cup of grata with a shot of expression and two squirts of reality. And I have got the most dynamic co squirt today. Jesus, man. This girl is off the hook. She is just off the hook. She's an actress. God, she's just dynamic. Everything about her is a spark of the divine just looking at her. She is just she's just amazing. I'm like, I don't even know how to describe Katie Chonacas because there's so many different ways to describe you. You're an artist. You're a musical artist. You're a poet, an actress, an NFT. Will you told me the word and
Enthusiast.
enthusiast. Enthusiast. I mean, there's so many things that you are, but what my favorite thing about you is you're straight on point. You say it like it is, and you so embody the divine feminine.
It's a
Welcome
practice.
to
It's a practice.
welcome. Welcome,
Thank
girl.
you. Thank you. You're getting me all vulnerable already. I appreciate your words. I'm moved. Thank you.
You're awesome. Hey, I already know you are because I met you and then we got a chance to talk and it was just it was just extraordinary. Tell everybody a little bit about you from your words and then let's take a deep dive into let's just talk.
Yeah, sure. I'm Greek Orthodox Christian. I come from a big Greek family. That's a whole story within itself. My dad's side is Greek, and my yaya, my papu, my grandma and grandpa, they came over from the old country, Greece, for a better opportunity for the American dream. My parents met when they were teenagers. They were kids having kids, and it was the traditional 40 hours a week going to work, putting food on the table, and getting us to school to make sure we had education. My dad was a cross country runner. He turned me on to cross country running. Thank God I took up sports because there were a lot of, circumstances and a lot of things of, generational trauma and things society and circumstances put onto you. So I had cross country running as an outlet. So I would run sometimes 50 miles a week, and I would have beats twice a week, and I was able to have a release to get the blood flowing in my brain and just clearing out my brain to really elevate me so I could think clearly and dream. And in my spare time, not only was I getting in trouble, but rebel with the cause, or at the time rebel without a cause. But I would yeah, I would be into literature, Mark Twain and Socrates, Plato. We were into Greek mythology and language. It was really important for me, like language. And we would go to church growing up, listening to oldies, Casey Kasem, and my mom singing like melodies and harmonies. And I was able to attune my ear to that. And my mom was a singer. And so she was probably like singing while I was in the womb. And yeah. And so, we had the Old Town Motown oldies and the good vibes of the songs and the language of the words. And that really touched my heart in such a great way. And my yaya, my grandmother, who I'm named after, KYRIAKI, the Saint KYRIAKI, also it means Sunday in Greek. That's who I'm named after. We would be in the church, and it would be in the literature. It would be in the old calendar. So I would be listening, and there would be the saints, and we would pray, and the candles and lighting incense. So it was very spiritual, and the tone and the language of the congregation of people getting together, I was very sensitive. I was like an empath and an HSP, a highly sensitive person, which I didn't know that language back then, but I was
Right.
very attuned to ancient wisdom and this voice within myself. And so I wanted to honor that. And I know I needed to protect that at a very young age. And I did that. And I would just observe what was going on. And for acting, it's great being an observer. So that's kind of in a nutshell some things about me and my upbringing.
Well, and I love that about you because it's so rooted in foundation, and I love that. But you are just talented beyond measure. When did you know you wanted to be an actress? I mean, when did that really pop up for you?
Always knew it. I was just a born entertainer. My mom says I came out screaming, and I haven't stopped since. I was just kicking and screaming. And we used to have these VHS tapes, right, that we used
Yeah.
to record on. And I mean, who knows where
I
it
don't
is.
even. How do you even remember them?
Yeah,
You,
I remember. I
really?
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we would play and watch the tapes. Like growing up, we would play and watch the tapes. But I was singing in a broom, like in my diapers, and my mom would be playing '80s music, you know. And so I was singing, and at the time I thought, oh, like singing like a singer. But now I'm like, oh, singing as a singer, on entertaining, utilizing my voice as a podcaster, like just dancing, entertaining, stand up, you know, so that broom that I always thought it was a singer, it could be for multi-dimensional reasons now that I reflect and look back on it now, you know.
That's just so rad. Well, and I love that because look, I've always had this energy and I wanted to be out there. And I was on stage from a very small age, but I stopped in high school because I had broke my back. And so I just
Wow.
it all stopped. But I remember just that expression was so much fun. So I'm imagining with a podcast called She's All Over the Place.
Hmm.
I'm loving how you've channeled this beautiful energy of your voice into so many different outlets. So I'm going to guess that you were totally supported by your family with that wonderful gift that you had, and they recognized it as a gift.
I want to just say yes. I mean, that's my initial instinct. But if you want to go to the opposite side of the spectrum of controversy, my younger sister, she's an operatic singer and she sings in 4 to 5 different languages and she's classically trained on the piano. So my mom would take her to practice 4 times a week. She played piano. She did solo ensemble. Like she went to, you know, this like private summer camp in northern Michigan. So she was always looked at as the singer. She sings operatically, you know. So I was always looked at like the model and the actor. And like I wasn't taking seriously with my voice as a singer. Like I would actually be like shunned, like, you know, but I learned there's different kinds of singers, right? So like she's an operatic singer, but there's no comparison at all. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, you know how it is with like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
family, but she was
totally.
and is the singer. And when I was a teenager, I would, you know, she's 6 years younger than me. I would take her to the Gem Theater downtown and be in front of 50 people or 100 people. I would take her to events and hold the space as a producer, and people would applaud her and she would sing, and her voice, and I got chills, and she would always sing like all these beautiful songs. And so her voice is just really, really gorgeous. And but me, I have an edge and I have a dope voice, but I'm more of like, I don't know, like a Britney Spears kind of like voice, or like I have my own voice, but I wasn't
You,
like a singer, you know?
you have this great voice. As a matter of fact, what's your favorite song that you have out?
Oh, that I have out, or just my favorite song in general?
That you have out. There, Miracle to in
Miracles Goes
Miracles
to
go.
Mars is cool.
Is that
No, that's not I have an
so?
album out right now, Dreamland 1111. But I did this dope song called Paris Fashion Week. It's under the Sophisticated Psychos, this duo that I have. Although I'm going solo now under Saint KYRIAKI, my birth name, my baptismal name. But Angels and Rainbows is
Say that one more time. What is it?
Paris Fashion Week.
Paris Fashion Week. I
Yeah.
see Techno House. We've got a few. I'm going to let everybody hear this because this is pretty rad. So pick a song and I will play it for a brief second.
Oh, I would say the space in between on Dreamland 1111. Then, if you're gonna, because it's all about divine femininity and me exploring that journey of, you know, now of claiming and reclaiming one's power. So the space in between on Kiriaki, in the space in between on Dreamland 1111 probably is the clip you want to play.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if this is it. It's Dreamland. It's definitely it. So I'm going
Where
to
are
bring it
you?
up. I'm on Dreamland 11. I'm going to bring it up right now and you can tell me if it's right. Okay, everybody listen to this. This is I think your talent is just so remarkable and I love this. So here, let's just take a look. All right, is this is it? That was awesome.
That's the opening for Dreamland
Oh
1111.
wait, we've got oh and then it's got more. Oh, I'm going to stop it right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because just because I want to really get more into some of the depth that you have that we've talked about. Um, Music to me, and the reason I get so excited about your musical adventures is because music to me is the expression of our soul.
Mm.
Coming from being a musician as a young person, it is how that we actually share our parts of our soul in a way that cannot be explained. It just is. So it's to me, it's one of the most divine expressions. But I also feel like your divine feminine is in your music because I listen to it and I just feel into it through my cells. And Kimberly, you're watching right now. Did you vibe that? You know, you could just feel that divine feminine flowing through and permeating. Take us into that space.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, beautiful. I'm glad you feel it. It's so awesome because I made those beats and I not only did I grow up with Motown and melodies, but I grew up in the Detroit electronic music underground scene going to rave parties as a kid. And Detroit and Berlin, they're like the twin towers of techno. And so I grew up with all these international DJs coming to my backyard in Detroit and I would be like out at all hours listening to the vibes of the music and the tone and dancing and just expressing my soul and just pumping my heart out, whatever's happening in life, you would just go dance it out as a kid. And so I went on this musical journey and I was really connected through music. And then, life took me on a twist and turn and I wanted to be a DJ, but there wasn't DJ schools. It was a lot of like masculine energy DJing, like the only divine feminine females identifying that I saw that were DJing is if their boyfriend, if they had a boyfriend and they had the equipment. But I didn't think to like go to Guitar Center and test it out there until I got one, or like get one on Craigslist if they had a Craigslist back then, or get one like secondhand just to practice. And I didn't empower myself and know how to scale, pivot, and shift in that way. And I didn't have a musical person around me to like feed me that idea, or that would have been amazing. Or maybe I didn't do research on it enough. I don't know. But anyway, so I went through this whole journey and I ended up touring with 50 Cent and G Unit in 2007 and 2008 internationally in front of like 18,000 people on stage. And like I was going by Katie Coco and they were making me like the next, like Lady Gaga. It was when Lady Gaga was like just buzzing. And then I met the Sophisticated Psychos and we went on that musical journey. And then things came full circle and I took in 2016 I took a DJ. There was a DJ music school in Los Angeles and it was a 1-year program. And I love commitment. I love learning and I love growing and I love being committed. So I made a 1-year commitment to find out what kind of DJ I was, just to understand like the technicalities of it and the vibes, because there's so many different kinds of DJ. Like since I'm Greek, I can play Greek music or weddings, or like, there's like the clubs and then there's the corporate parties and nonprofits, and like like not getting younger. So like I want to like have a family, but there's like daytime events and like fashion events, and I could like DJ those kind of parties in my eclectic sound, like yoga events and things like that. So I was going on this journey of like finding like my vibe, my voice, my sound, my tone. And I write poetry. And when I write poetry, it's literature and it's sound and it's, it comes out of my mouth. But when I'm on the pad and I'm making, beats, that is poetry as well. It's how I'm feeling inside, whether I'm feeling frustrated and I grab the electronics and I make a pad, I'm expressing how I feel. So I love electronic music. Like growing up in the Detroit electronic music scene, I was equipped to like 16 bars, 14 bars, longer bars, transitions, not like 2-3 minute songs, but like ones that could go for like 50 minutes and just really go deep dive and get into this journey. So when I start, when I make the choice and then I hit record, it's experimental and I don't judge myself. I just create it and I allow myself, my vessel, to go on this journey of whatever it is. Once I pick like, the BPM and the tone, and I just made all this music. And then when we had the great reset in 2020 and I had space, I took all of these beats that I collected over the last couple of years, and I found I had like 5 different genres. And then my birthday was coming up on 11/11, and I wanted to, release something, a gift for myself, and just like honor and celebrate and have some fun. So I was going on a journey of knowing what I knew since I was little and knowing how powerful I was, and then losing myself to find myself, and then to reclaim my power, and really stepping into reclaiming my power and really understanding or exploring like divine femininity in all genders. And what does that mean? Because when I was a kid, like, I look to men or masculine energy for like funding and capital and like support and pillars to like support me. I didn't look to the divine feminine energy or a quote unquote female. And so I went off doing what I was doing with like this shield of having to like brace myself and protect myself and like in such a way. And it's like, just because I can doesn't mean I have to. I learned along the way. Just because I can doesn't mean I have to. So I wanted to release this armor and still be strong and powerful, but with grace and this inner core with strength and vulnerability that, I've learned along the way. And so for me, it was like, I saw a lot of people, their light went out at a very young age that I knew I had to protect, but some people don't remembering their power. And I thought, hey, through the work that I've done, what I've experienced, and I'm making a full-on commitment to explore divine femininity in all genders. And what does that mean? Because we're only as quote unquote strong as our weakest link. And for me, I would have successes and go down. And internally, people thought, oh, she's so powerful, she's so strong, she's so bold, and that's just who I am. But inside, I was feeling fragile. I was feeling like broken inside, and like,
Yeah.
isolated and down and not fulfilled, and like self-inflicting and all these psychological things. And I was like messing with myself, and I'm like, I need to call myself out for this. So I took this thing that would be my weakest link, which was my, connectivity of divine femininity and wanting to have, female supporters, mentors, things that nurture like that side of myself. And that went on for years. And then when I made the commitment for the music and the commitment for my podcast, for a women empowerment series on She's All Over the Place podcast, I took that thing and I've been nurturing it, committed to it. So it's so stable and so strong. So I'm not going up and down, up and down. And so it's stable. And so I'm empowering really like that, and being a vessel to not only do it for myself, then to open space to hold hands to do it with others. Because if I needed it, and from what I've heard and seen, like, other people want that as well. So if I can be a vessel in service to do that, like, that's why I'm here.
I love this. So, because you've really, the key components of what you've been saying is the commitment that you make, to expand in whatever it is that your soul is calling, whether it's in your music, it's in your poetry, or it's a commitment to discovering the deeper essence of you, the divine feminine in you. We all know that that's a beautiful balance. We had Leland Daniel Holgate on yesterday, and he's on right now, as a matter of fact. And what he had to say was, "Live life to a soundtrack." He's one of our combat vet warriors. He's also the founder of Warriors for America, Warriors for Life America. He's extraordinary. So I love that, because we talked about yesterday about the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and that balance that's coming. And I love that you guys are all about the same age, and you're really bringing this forward, because you're our leaders, period. And I want to thank Kimberly. She said she would like to know.
Oh,
There we go. What movies have you made? You are beautiful, and I've always wanted to be an actress. I felt like I was going to a galaxy. I love that. And she's saying congratulations.
thank
So,
you. Oh, I was on the private chat. I see the comments now rolling in.
yeah,
So everyone, thank you for being here. We could be anywhere and we choose to be here. So I honor you and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
that's beautiful. So, what movies, she wants to know, what movies have you been in and
Oh,
shows?
yeah. Law and Order SVU, CSI New York, Cold Case, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia was Charlie's prom date, which was really cool. I did Righteous Kill with De Niro and Pacino. I was in The Bad Lieutenant with Nicolas Cage, Eva Mendes. I worked with Werner Herzog. He's like the top 35 filmmaker in the world. I did The Code with Morgan Freeman and Antonio Banderas. Jessica Simpson, I played her best friend, her makeup artist, and Major Movie Star. So that was really fun.
That sounds like that totally sounds fun. Do you see a change coming in Hollywood? I mean, for real. Like, look,
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
we're conscious. Look at things are blowing up everywhere. Just as we know, we're in the Great Reset. Psh, 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 psh. I am sending conscious vibes to Hollywood, going, yeah. I mean, my neighbor here.
Yeah.
Come on. So, well, come on.
Hollywood's great. Hollywood is amazing. It's its own thing. It's great. And yes, it's being eradicated and it's already shape shifting and things have changed. Like everything's on Zoom now, self-tape auditions. It's very rare you go in person. A lot of things are not being shot in Hollywood. They're in Atlanta and New Mexico and New York. A lot of stuff's being shot in New York. And so you can really be anywhere with on-screen acting and voiceovers and have, like, I'm in a home studio right now. I have 3 home studios, like LA, New York, and Michigan, where I'm from. I'm visiting family right now. And like I have, like, it was so wild. My little girl dreams of, literally like being on the floor of my closet, like writing my little girl dreams on the ground. Who would have thought I'd bring Hollywood to my home closet? And I just worked on a Disney animation project last Monday, and it's like, who would have thought I would be recording like Hollywood from my home? And yes, it's changing in a lot of ways of locations where things are shot, how we interact with one another. Women and non-binary talent, like all, genders, being able to speak their voice and not feeling shamed and blamed. And if they do, they can call it out and those people are schooled in such a
Heck
way. But
Woo! Could I
without,
just I
yeah,
gotta jump in there, girl, because
sure.
that is I love this. Okay, because the fact of the matter is that this is such an important topic about accepting people as they are, just the way they are. Non-binary, people would I've heard some people, they're older. I'm in my 50s. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe like they're making this a law now or this or that." And I'm like, how can you not believe it? Like this was what I studied in gender communications. We're really brought forward into looking at how we communicate when it comes to gender. And gender is not your choice of who you're sleeping with or how you're doing it, just so we all know. Non-binary came around because it was necessary for us as human beings to stop labeling each other and stop with these old school BS. It just doesn't work anymore. Come on, because
Yeah,
look, if it was working, it would have continued to remain the same.
yeah.
So now we have this opportunity to really, really look at embracing human beings as being just human beings. I think non-binary is probably the coolest thing that they've came out with yet. But I mean, this is
Chills.
part
I
of,
have
yeah,
chills right now. Yeah,
peace
yeah,
study. Look, peace
yeah.
studies in that entire realm. When you're looking at what women have done, how they have fought, how they have stood up, when you're looking at how that people of different nationalities have stood up over the course of time, and non-violently to step forward. Now we have it coming full circle with being all human beings, and that's really what non-binary is about. In my heart, it's like this is this is evening out the playing field and stopping that, so maybe we can step forward in a space of compersion and celebration, like right now, celebrating you for showing up and doing what you do, for paving a way paving a way for others to follow you that are back here, paving a way for others like me who are over here age wise, but looking at you going, thank you for how
Yeah.
you show up, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
And
we're
yes,
because we're about to
yes.
do a shift, girl. We're going to go into, because listen, I'm like looking, going, damn, I don't have enough time with you. Like for real.
I'll come back anytime.
She's so full of information, and I want you to go check out her podcast. I have put her website in there, and if you join her mailing list, I'm going to put it in again. Join her mailing list. She's going to send you some free gifts and whatnot. But go check out her podcast. She's all over the place because it's really excellent. I promise you. Plus, the fact is ranking up there like sky high. It's like number 5 or some
Oh,
incredible.
no, it's what, as of last week, it's 1.5% out of all
Oh
podcasts
shit,
globally.
she's
We
ripping it.
Yeah, it's so cool. Out of almost 3 million podcasts, now we're 1.5%. So that's neat. Yeah.
I completely love this. So
Oh,
what
someone's
oh,
saying something. Oh, but
very good.
I will read what Kimberly says, but I did want to share something about the Hollywood thing really quick. I won't get into
Mhm.
too many details because yeah, I live in Utah. We just had a film festival. It was amazing. They called my home Little Hollywood. Oh, cute. Bunch of films. Kevin Costner. I've been digging for a spot. Your next is coming. Dope, 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 dope. Yeah, love them. Love them. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, Utah's dope. Like there's some like really dope artists in Utah. Um, but I don't I just want to just give like a sow a seed. I know we don't have time to go into this part of it, but like there are people in crypto in web3 and pivoting into the films and funds being raised through crypto and female entrepreneurs and non-binary talent raising funds through crypto with dismantling the old Hollywood model of making a movie
That's right. Game
and
girl. Mhm.
self-funding and doing it in a whole new way. Yeah.
Okay, so she's already done the shift. I didn't have to guide you. I wanted that we're going to get into Web3, NFT. I hope everybody just grab a hold of something and hold tight because in the almost 6 years I've been doing this,
Wow.
I've never been so blown away by a young by somebody who's just you're you commit to everything you do and I there's this level of appreciation I have for you just for that level of commitment because you're really showing us like when we commit to ourselves what changes and what can happen because if you all heard what she was saying during her stories, she would go up and then she would go down and she would go up and she would go down. And then when the great reset happened, it came along and she's like, "Hey, wait a minute, what's going on within here? How can I express it out?" And then she goes into this whole new world, Web3, NFT, and what I can promise you all, if you're listening to her and you really key in here and use your active listening tools, you're going to hear some nuggets on how to take these types of things and start using them in your life because digital currency is where it's at. And this is where people like myself need to start understanding this, and getting with it. So that's why my appreciation's there. We get to learn from you, and I appreciate that 100%. So tell us, just go. You
Sure.
know how to.
Sure. In a nutshell, I got involved in blockchain in 2018. It was all above my head, just being a social butterfly and just being open and saying yes to the universe and being involved in different things. I was asked to DJ an event. It was for a blockchain 1111, and my birthday's 1111. So I was aware of the omen. I was aware of the sign. In addition, the day before, there was as a DJ, if you get the luxury of like going for a sound check the day before, you do. So I did to set it up to see how it sounds. And there were artists putting together their artwork. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? They're like, oh, you're a physical painter. I'm like, yeah. So they're like, oh, so I had 7 pieces of my artwork up going as NFTs, my physical artwork going as NFTs, non fungible token, in addition to being a DJ at a blockchain event. So I was going around looking at all these different blockchains, which, they raise funds for blockchains. And I was like, oh, this one is a green, sustainable one. I'm into the environment. I'm vibing with this blockchain. So I was like on a palette of different blockchains and it was above my head. I was traveling, blah, blah, blah. Then in the Great Reset, like things really took off and then I just got like zoned in and now I've just been off to the races ever since. So it's a psychology, it's a new way of life, it's the future, it's already being built by the innovators, by great people in humanity, by people who do have the funds to invest, by artists. Being a sovereign being, it's for everyone. You just don't have to be an artist. It takes it's a practice and do your own research and not financial advice and but I am here to onboard people in any way possible. There are people who brought healthcare to the space, to the blockchain. There are people who brought nonprofit to the blockchain. I do have a pink sheet of divine femininity energies that I respect and admire that I've collected since being in the space since 2018. And I gift that to people. So they have people that they can follow on Twitter. That's where it's at, Twitter spaces. So if you're following these people, then you can pop into, there's probably, if I look, there's probably like 30 rooms going on right now. And it's 24 hours. And it's the world learning a new language. And it's a full new language. And it's so cool because it's not like overnight, even though it happens so fast, but it's like shape shifting and collectively of our new world that's happening already now, that's being built for us, but for you, for humanity. And it's not gatekeeping, it's not isolation, it's not figuring it out on your own, it's not charging you money, it's not like bots and marketing scams and all that. Although it's there, the community protects and makes sure that doesn't happen. So I probably went all over the place. You probably have some questions, but in a nutshell, don't click any links, do your own research. Gary V is amazing. Gary Vaynerchuk, he's bossing in the
Gary V
space.
is insane, dude. And he said, he's like, look, for the music artists out there right now, NFTs are going to change the game for how that the music industry, the music artists are taking back their music. They're taking back their power.
Yes,
And that's Gary V is like, he has no bullshit. He's like, at
yes.
all.
And Blau,
Yeah, yeah.
his name's Justin. He's from Las Vegas. 3LAU, his name's Blau. And he's the one that revolutionized the music industry in March of last year in 2021. He took an album from 3 years prior and he put it on an auction on the blockchain. It went for like over 16 million or something like that. Not sure what that was in ETH, in crypto, but it really shapeshifted. And he has joined Royale, and Nas was the first person. Now Diplo's doing a drop, but it's not only celebrities, it's everyone. And it's being a sovereign being. And Blake Jameson, who's an NFT artist, collector, and curator, which I am too. When I was at Art Basel in December, he purchased 2 of my music NFTs. So I am, okay, so just to give you some alpha here, I am the first artist to put a love poem on the blockchain last March, coupled with a Polaroid by the original Polaroid that was discontinued in 2001 by Polaroid. I'm one of the very first female identifying non-binary talent to actually sell my music NFTs, where some people don't even know what an NFT is yet. I sold 2 of mine in December 2021. I'm putting my actor headshot on the blockchain. I'm the first actor to put my actor headshot on the blockchain. The only web series on the blockchain right now is by Mila Kunis. It's an animation, Cool Cats. It's an animation project, but I'm about to drop my web series that I produced, directed, seasons 1, 2, and 3 on the blockchain. So I'm the very first actor, producer, and talent and director to put a web series on the blockchain. It's about to drop like any day now. And so I'm really proud of that. And, to educate and share my experiences thus far. And it's such a new game that any idea, whoever's tuning in, like any idea that you have, you could probably be like the first to coin and be the first to do something of that nature, because it's just so new. And it's like wild, wild west, and
Well, we
it's
love
all
the
about
Wild Wild West,
community and,
girl.
and helping one another. Yeah. Yeah.
I really love what you're saying here, because I mean, some of it honestly is like, okay, blockchains and wow. Yeah, I know nothing about all of this. I mean, I don't know much, but here's what I do know. That there are some keywords you've used in this, and audience, I want you to really hone in on that. Sovereign.
Yes.
Sovereign. She has said it like 3 times now. Sovereign. That there is no reason for us to be giving away our power anywhere.
And
That's
our
all I'm
money.
gonna,
And our hard-earned money.
and our money,
It
which
should
is
go to us.
it goes. And so the idea behind this is NFTs. It's this digital currency. It's taking and creating these little worlds and communities where there's support, but there's also it's real money. But it's a different type of money. It's such a trip for me, Katie. It's like my brain just goes into a clusterfuck. It's like, what the hell?
Well, let me hone
Yeah,
in a bit little to kind of like make it more
yeah.
practical too. So there's big projects, which could be overwhelming, or you have a collective, you do big projects, medium-sized projects, or you're called a one-of-one artist. Me, I'm a one-of-one artist. I'm building I have a brand and I have multiple things happening. Voiceover, art, doodling, photography, directing, producing, poetry. Like I'm doing it all and I'm putting it on the blockchain. So I'm like a one-of-one artist, right? So someone who likes me, they're going to go to my website, pick up my merch because they like me. They like, we love what she's doing. I personally pay it forward. So any like 20-30% of each project of each entity goes to like the Mental Health Alliance or something with music, or the child I sponsor in the Philippines and her family. And so they're like, people are just good people and they want to help people. They're like, oh my God, I love the actionable steps this person's taking. I want to help them. I want to support them. That's it. It's like if you like a Britney Spears concert, you're like, or a Korn concert, you're like, I'm going to go get a ticket and I'm going to go and I'm going to see it. You're going to do it anyway. You just do it now with NFTs. And with the NFT, the non-fungible token, it's not just a JPEG. It can be a MP3, MP4, video, audio, and it's the utility and the asset that comes along with it. Like when you go to a church, you go for the congregation. When you go to a restaurant, you go for, you know, the atmosphere, you go for the people, you go for the service. When you go to a sports game, you're going because you like that team and you like the energy of, you know, that event. So we're already doing it, but now instead of going to the event and seeing all these magnificent things and then leaving and being off the horse, and it's like, yo, where's the community, where's the people? Now there's these communities being built. So like now when I go to like Astro Emojis, it's like a mental health NFT project on the blockchain, and they have mental health and wellness festivals in the metaverse every single month. It's like not only do I have the NFT, but the utility of that NFT is $2,000 to $5,000. They have a partnership with Wim Hof. They have amazing wellness speakers, mental health speakers, people in the metaverse. It's like a lightning in a bottle meets like Burning Man. And like those people in the community, I'm talking to them, and they're my friends online, but they're my friends that I can meet up in real life, and they're friends who are my friends, but also some like write for magazines. They're doing amazing things in the world. So I'm going to be connected to people. I'm going to scale and grow my businesses because those are my communities of the people I'm going to be involved in. And so we can get out the people who aren't authentic. We can get rid of the people who aren't a part of the subscription of the community because their intentions don't align, which is totally fine. It's a way to weed out the people who are bots or who aren't really identifying with who we are and what we want and who they are and what they want. It's a way for community to really grow and come together and, you know, weed out the stuff that's not serving us. So it's very exciting. It takes time. It's being built. It's already happening. And there's a lot of money being made too.
That's the kick in the butt. I mean, it's like money just sort of just it's created. Like what we know is money's just energy.
Yes.
So let's take it to an etheric level. What's going on with all this?
What do you mean? What's going on with all this?
Well, an etheric level, meaning spiritually, all of this is being guided.
It's excitement. Yeah. I have nervous energy in my stomach. Take a deep breath. It is exciting. Follow that flow. Follow that flow of that energy. That's what I do. You know, I just follow that flow of the energy. Definitely.
Connect with Katie, join her mailing list so that you can get more information about all of this and learn. What I was going for is I look at things and I observe them from the
Yes.
space of watching what all these changes in the world and knowing that this is spiritually aligned. There's a lot of people who there's the old church systems and I grew up Catholic and United Pentecostal and born again Christian. All that's all the rules, all of the stuff, that's all gone now. All the different old ways of looking at things, I see them just shifting as we shift into a different dimension is what it looks like. So when I hear you talk, it's like, this is the new world. This is the new dimension.
Yes.
And so when I say etherically, just kind of looking at it from a higher perspective, what would be your observation?
Kindness, compassion, being one with the world that we want to see and feel and be, eradicating what just doesn't serve us. It's no blaming and shaming. It worked and it had a purpose and a service at that time. And it's not all going to be eradicated. Some things still work. We're just going to shape shift. We're shape shifting and taking what didn't work and build not, I don't want to say building on, but just creating more space for abundance of the new in an evolved, more ethical way without the materials. Like we don't need like, you know, 55 pairs of shoes or, you know, 300 business suits. It's like, you know, you can have these digital assets and, you know, it's better for the environment because you're not hoarding all this materialistic stuff. polluting the environment in such a way, and like hoarding like all these things that we don't need. Like, consumerism of buying all these plastic toys and like getting all these toys when you're a kid. But like now, if you're gifting an NFT to a child, or like I got an NFT for my dad because he's into fantasy football, and so it's a community. He's always online doing Ancestry, and he's always online with his like sports buddies. We're living online now, but now he can be online because he has an NFT for fantasy football, and he can be in a community of the people who are doing the fantasy football, and he can commune with these kind of people. And it's a fun gift I can get my dad, instead of like what can I buy my dad? Like, what can I get my dad? Some materialistic gift that he probably doesn't need, that's going to go into a closet, and I don't know if he's going to use it or not, and like wasting my money. Now it's the intimacy of the thought and the gift that's actually actualized in a way where it's like a sentiment, and he can appreciate it, and utilize it in that way. So it's a big question because a lot of things are happening, but I'm thinking those are some ways, for elimination in some ways. And it's like, like if you take it back to the days of, when people were putting on clothing, like they weren't doing it for fashion. They were doing it to stay warm, and then we evolved to like fast fashion, and, what people know about that. And then, the labor laws of how we're, treating people in other countries, and it's abusive, and then eradicating that and doing things more sustainable and more things for the environment, things of that nature. So it's kind of like those psychologies and transitions, and honoring what was and honoring what's going to be. There's no shaming and blaming of what was. Some things work, some things different. It's life. It's lessons we get to learn, and that's what we get to do. So hopefully that answers like the question in some kind of ways.
It totally does. Yeah, absolutely. What a trip. I need to get in tune with this new culture. I
See?
love that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, for personally, like a lot of things that I own, they've been gifts from people. Like, I mean, when I was younger, I was like, before I knew what I knew from what I saw from the TV, I was like Chanel, 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 like, and everything was just like designer. And it's like, like my fantasy, my ego, materialism, and like what people are doing online and their ego, and it's just not practical, and it's not what life's about. And it's like, I mean, it's a glam, it's a shiny thing, but let's continue on. It's like, so there came a part, I think it was in 2012, where I became, because of my friend's ex-partner, who practiced minimalism, and it was introduced to me, and quality over quantity. And so, I mean, I haven't been like shopping in a long time, but I definitely prefer thrift stores. If I'm going to buy something, like get it from like a thrift store in a way, or, like you don't need to get like, whatever. I mean, I can't say what other people can and can't do, or what they want to do, but everyone's different. But me personally, like I don't need to go buy like a whole bunch of things. Like, I mean, I'm cool with the things that I have, and I choose that kind of discipline because I know like a lot is like through the years, I have two sisters, and I've given them so many things, and I appreciate when gifts are given to me, because it's like I feel love that way. It's one of my love languages. Like the best gift is someone's presence. Like the best gift is like a present, but it's the presence. Like this is the best gift ever, right? And it's more meaningful than some materialistic item that's going to come and go. But when someone gives me something, a materialistic item, then I cherish it and I honor it. Like this was from that person who energetically thought about me, gifted this to me. That's cool, But it's very rare that I'm out like buying things. Like I don't put my money there. I put my money in the arts, in investments, in education, and things of that nature.
Rock star. I love that too,
Mm.
because I'm constantly feed me, feed me, feed me. I want more. I want to learn more. Education, by educating ourselves, we give ourselves knowledge. We give ourselves power so that when we have experiences come up, we can make different choices. So what is the message that you feel that you're here to bring forward?
That's a great question. What comes up for me is compassion and kindness, grace, and being vulnerable, because I have gone through some mental abuse. I have, with the power of the word, and I can, I know I can build someone up with my words. I know I can rip them down. I know I can, with self-worth, we can build ourselves up and we can rip ourselves down. And that's the power we have, that we can manipulate onto another. But most importantly, what we do to ourselves. It's when we think we're doing it to another. I've been very like what I said earlier, the armor and abrasive to go for what I wanted ruthlessly. I've done it to, I can't compare myself to anyone, but I've done it to degrees where I can say things and kind of push people over. And some people will just be like, okay. And they just allow it to happen because they just don't want to deal with it, or they just like, and so I found like, the people who are abrasive in that way and who overstep other people's boundaries and assert themselves in a way instead of healthy communicating and finding the ebb and flow of like someone's boundaries and respecting. It's you think in a short term you're getting off or you're getting something over on another, but really it could have been, we could have grown so much more together. I could have actually, it had so much more like berries and juice and fruits from within, but I cut myself off because I was getting this short-term thing. And so I learned along the way, just because I can be strong, just because I can act in these certain ways doesn't mean I have to. And I went through like decades of experiences of being around other people, who went to Harvard, who went to the Olympics, who, are multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, and thinking that was it. But then I was just like a puppet in their world, and I was just like a princess in their world. And as long as I acted, if I people please and I acted the way they wanted me to be, and I felt like they accepted me, I got the validation from them to feel my self-worth. I then found I don't need their validation. I don't need to be a princess in their world because they think I'm good. That's an illusion. I had to remove myself from the illusion of being perfect in someone else's world because of my own insecurities, and dismantle that and grow through a journey of vulnerability and grow through a journey of kindness and compassion, and be grateful if something didn't work out or if someone showed their true colors of how they were, to allow it to be and to take a step back and allow it to pass, because I rather say thank you when that comes up because they're not meant for me, but that makes a clearing in a space for what is meant to be and for what is. And that's how I could start messy and get aligned and attuned with who I am and where I'm going in humanity. And I, had a beautiful partner, and we went on this spiritual journey, and we were a mirror reflection for one another, where I was able to really intently and deeply rooted go through this experience, in a relationship. And I don't blame this person or shame this person. I thank that person because they taught me so much about myself, and they taught me so much about them. And I really evolved and elevated in such a way where a lot of people wouldn't deal with me, because a lot of people wouldn't like, tell me the truth because they don't want to hurt your feelings, or they don't know where to start, or they don't have the time. Most people don't have the time when they're like, how are you doing? They're not actually really caring, like, how are you doing? It's just a thing people say. But
Mm.
some people really care, and we were able to take time and moments and experiences one another over and over again to learn these lessons. And so now this person can go off into the world, and I can go off into the world and be that voice of, of all being like well-rounded. And before I even met this person, like I knew I had the foresight, I had the intuition. I was going to be growing and going on a journey, and I wasn't going to be on screen acting for a while. I've been doing voiceovers, but I knew I wasn't going to be doing on screen acting for a while because it was stumping me in my work. I was up for roles, but then it would go to someone else and I wasn't getting the roles because know thyself, intimacy. It was like this.
Yes.
I didn't have the partnership. I didn't have the actual energies of the relationships of the listening, because the other side of acting, like right now I'm speaking and you're listening, but then when I'm not speaking, like I'm listening. And so it made me be a better active listener in life, for myself, for my family, for my friendships, for humanity, and for my work and for my craft. And now, because I've done this work and I went on this journey, I'm going to be a household name in TV and film, and millions of people are going to see me once again in the new screen. And my heart and my vessel is so open, and I am so ready. And that's how I'm going to be able to make people laugh and move them to tears, because I actually have all that life within me, and I had to go on that experience, and I chose to. And that's why I think life is so beautiful, to be able to experience those things.
Beautiful. And what I'm feeling from you right now, and thank you for sharing so vulnerably, is your grateful beingness, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah. So if anybody, is wondering why tears are a grateful beingness. I call them gratiteers. Gratiteers. They're like
I love that.
well,
First time I've heard that.
I say spark the G vibe too, baby. That's your gratitude
Ooh.
vibration. What's your gratitude vibration? It's the
Yeah.
G vibe, it's the spark, it's the thing. It's the thing that reminds us who that we truly are. And that's what this whole conversation's been about. And Kimberly says, thank you. Gorgeous girl,
Yeah.
thank you. I am in
Mm.
tears.
Yeah, so sweet. I'm reading all the messages. It's so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, vulnerability is, I think, the most important part of this message. And so I love this. You are here, and what you're doing is you're bringing forward the permission to be you, the permission to be you. And I love that. And into me, I see intimacy.
Susan
That's,
Batson, my acting coach. She has an
yeah.
amazing book called Truth. Someone saying they want more truth in their life. The book's called Truth. The blue cover by Susan Batson, Batson. She's Nicole Kidman's acting coach for over 18 years. Julia Binoche. She coaches Madonna, Oprah, Zac Efron, Liv Tyler. She coached me for a year. It's not about your truth. It's not about my truth. It's
Mm,
the truth. It's the
the truth.
universal law. So it's
Thank you.
the Republic by Plato. If so, you can do it on audio. The Republic by Plato. I read it when I was a child. It's just and unjust. It's like, it's very simple. Everything else is the monkey mind, right? It's that intuitive hit. It's the knowing of the knowing, even if it's not the most popular choice. The strength and the courage to follow that beaten path or the road less traveled, they say, right? To follow that inner strength and courage, even if you're going in the darkest moments or you feel so isolated and alone, going and growing through that. But everything is very just or unjust, period. And so that's I guess that Libra moon or whatever in me. I'm a Scorpio, but I definitely have a Libra in me, and that's the balance.
I love that. I'm a Libra moon. I love
Oh,
this.
cool.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's a moon. I know I have a Sagittarius something too. I know my
I think
Scorpio sun, and I'm a Sagittarius Libra. One of moon or something like that.
I like that. Well,
Rising,
well,
rising.
you know what? I have Claudia Thompson, who's won Emmys. Seriously,
Cool.
she's a lunar
Wow.
astrologer. I have her on every Monday. She's freaking mind blowing. We'll have to look at. Oh, dude, like crazy stuff, like so
Yo,
awesome.
we should
Yes,
do. I am so speaking of vulnerability. We should do a trio where she like reads my chart. Like,
we could do that.
oh my god,
Let's
that'd be
do
so
that.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'll tell her. I'll talk to her, and we'll get all into that. You know, the communication is the key to all things, because we communicate with everything. Everything is simply that. There is nothing that we don't communicate with, even if whether it's coming out of our mouth or it's coming out of our energy. It doesn't really matter. What I am just sitting here and really hoping everybody's catching is you've given some keys here into stepping into power. And active listening was one, sovereignty is another, and truth, vulnerability, authenticity. What else can you add to that?
Losing myself to find myself and knowing what I know that I know that I know, but then leaving space on the canvas for the glimpse and the sparkle of, or the space of the unknown. And that's why the space in between is my favorite, because it's the transition that we don't speak upon. But you see the glitz and the glam, and then there's the dark days. But what about the space in between?
Space in between's it right there. That's the zone. That's the 0 point. That's the
Yeah,
that's the
the
0 point.
the sweet spot, the space
It
in
is.
the sweet
Yeah.
spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
the homeostasis. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the being state, to just be. We all the purpose is just be, is to be in that acceptance space.
Allow. My friend
Allow.
taught me more
Yes.
than accepting, it's allowing.
Yes,
Accepting is
allowing.
one thing, but allowing. Allowing.
Allowing.
I come and I want to control and I want certain things a certain way, but it's not my family, it's not my life. It doesn't matter if I accept it. It's what I see and what I need to allow. So it's a cloud that passes and goes and passes and goes, because trust me, I've tried to control so many things, and it's so upsetting to try to control something. To try to control energy that we can't see and try to control someone, it's just so irritating and aggravating, and it's tiring. It's so tiring. Even though we want that thing from another person, or we want something to be that way. Like, how can we control anyone else or a circumstance when we can't even really like go deep within our own emotions, and go within to control or allow our own emotions and get to know ourselves, even if we think we know ourselves even more. Like, I'm exhausted from debating and fighting and bickering and trying to control. But you get so obsessively in the cycle, it's so hard and to dismantle from it. But when you have that space in between, and that space of that outlet to that space, and create that psychological space. We have so much toxicity, not only in our environments, in our products, quantum detoxification, clean by Alejandro Younger. Like, listen to it on audiobook, his newest version of Clean, and he talks about quantum detoxification, and
Which is?
you can quantum leap, like,
Yeah. Okay.
but
So yeah.
having
Mm,
those 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, and
yeah.
90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts. You're just going obsessively like around on a train track. But if
Yeah.
we don't have that break, that space in between to let that go, and sometimes it can be 30 seconds, sometimes it can be a minute, sometimes people do that 20-30 minute, set a timer meditation to let the thoughts come and glow. So come and glow, come and glow, come and go. So you can, break some, allow some neurological patterns to just like calm down and dissipate. But sometimes we need more than that. You may need to take a trip for a month or two. We might need to leave our environments and create new habits and new patterns, completely shape shift the way we think, feel, and the way we are. And Caroline Myss, MYSS, she's a
Yep.
mystic intuitive, and
Hmm.
she has a TED Talk on YouTube called Choices. And she talks about, like, right now taking a drink of water, or like getting up out of bed, or what time, or just those little micro choices are actually the macro choices. And people think the breakup or uprooting and moving are the macro big choices, but she says no, it's actually the moment to moment super small choices, like the cracks, the space in between. Those are those little choices are going to be the ones that add up, that make the macro choices.
And that makes beautiful sense. Absolutely, 100. And Carolyn Mice is awesome. So
Yeah.
is Dr. Jodas. They're all just
Yeah.
spectacular. And I love all the recommendations. What's your favorite tool to detune anything that's going on that's not your preference?
Yeah, I'll just stay away from electronics. I'll get a pad of paper. I'll start writing. Or if I'm gonna make music, I'll do music. But I'll just go get a massage. I'll take a hot shower. I'll get into nature. Like yesterday, I was, I'm visiting my mom and dad in Michigan right now, so I've had an extensive week, and I just needed more sun and nature. And so it was so beautiful, because I always tell people about my garden analogy. And I was actually, yesterday was the trash day, and my dad gave me a metal rake, not a plastic one, but a metal rake, and I was raking the berm. I was raking the berm and getting those cones off, and raking, and so much of the dead grass came out, and you don't realize all that dead grass down in. And I was just raking it, and it's like all this was coming up. And then when I was done, I looked at the berm. I did the whole one side of the berm all by
Uh-huh.
myself. And when I looked at it, it was just so green and so beautiful. And I thought it was fine beforehand. But when I was raking, and I was actually raking, I was like, this is so funny, because I tell people about my analogy, which I can share here if we have time, or if I should show you,
Oh
let me
yeah,
know.
no, go for it.
So I always say, like, life is a garden, right? And I have this beautiful garden, and I sow these seeds, and I just go and I sow all these seeds. And I learned something along the way yesterday. So I'll tell you these two things that I learned. But in life, I'm just like, oh, I'm just throwing, sowing seeds, throwing seeds. And then every 3 months, I'll do a rake. and non-judgmental. I'll just rake away the duds and see which ones have flourished and keep nourishing the ones that have flourished and keep sowing seeds. And I'm raking, and I'm like, I tell people this, but I'm like, yo, when's the last time I actually raked? I'm like, I tell people this, but when was the last time I actually raked? That was the first, on a psychological level, yeah, but physical raking, like that was like, it's been a while. And I was like, yo, I go and tell people this, but I'm like, this is taking work. And I have gloves on. I have to make sure I'm not squeezing too tight so I'm not getting blisters. And I was being gentle and aware of like not raking too intently, like getting it and doing a thorough job and doing it. But I'm like, this is like physically, I don't want to say taxing, but I'm like, I'm feeling it. Like it takes work. I'm like, that's why people don't actually sow the seeds and take actionable steps, because it actually takes work. It's okay to say something or have an idea, but when you're physically doing it, that's one thing. And then another thing I learned, which is really important, I think, and a hack is, and what I learned yesterday and that I'm sharing with you today is, as a child until now, I've had the an analogy of just throwing the seeds, and then seeing like, oh, raking away the duds and nurturing what is so beautiful. But now that I've grown over 2 decades in entertainment and traveling the world and in life, now I'm in a position, instead of taking all of my energy and just frantically sowing seeds, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to make quality choices about sowing the seeds. And still I'm going to sow more and take some risks, but instead of doing like 100, maybe I'm going to do 60 now and take that preserved energy of the 40 I would sow frantically, because I have experience now. I'm trusting myself more now. I trusted myself before, but I'm trusting myself even more now again. So I'm going to still sow the seeds and take risks and sow seeds. But instead of wasting that frantic, and it's not wasted, everything's learning, but I've learned I don't need to sow so many seeds. I can still sow a lot of seeds and be open. But since I have been so open, now I can pivot, shift the quality of my thought and the quality of the what I'm sowing to go in the direction of where I want to grow and go with the other spirited beings that I want to align with, because like there are so many beautiful people in the world and I know who I want to vibe with. Like I'm here with you right now. So I made the choice to meet you again. I made the choice to say I will come back anytime. I'm sowing those seeds and I'm nourishing it because I'm energetically aligned and trusting self and putting myself up out there, but I feel it's reciprocated instead of just putting it out and it not, right? So that was really empowering. And I was in nature and I was with my mom helping our home that I grew up in, and I was bonding with my mom and dad, and we had some laughs and it was great, and we planted some things. So I was just in nature. And I was, it was for over an hour, and I was like, oh, and I felt really good. So that's like some of the things I do when I need to unplug and shift from going this, just pivot and shift and put things in rotation.
That's truly badassery right here. Okay, first off, it's like gratitude on like steroids, but also talking about this is big. So if anybody has caught this, what you've just said was so vital, is that we've got, when you're out there, until you're actually doing it, you're just talking. So put some gusto behind your words. And now with your garden analogy, what I picked up was you're making intentional decisions about where that you want to plant your seeds, because you now know that you can do that and use your experience to help you decide where that's at and who are you vibing with. And if I didn't hear, like, that's it right there. And the frequency and the vibration of the people that you want in your space. How high are you going to raise your own bar?
Yeah.
Raise your standards, raise your bar, and do these things for yourself. And the last thing I heard you really hone in on was trust. And we're 3 minutes past the hour, so we are going to end. But trust and trusting yourself. And I hope that everybody really caught that essence of the story. So, Katie, you are just a off the chart rock star in every freaking
Woo!
way. I dig you so much.
Thank you, Debbie.
Oh, thank you. So anybody that wants to get a hold of Katie, please do. Her website is posted in the description of this video, and I'm going to go ahead and put it back into the chat so you've got it right there. Join the mailing list. That way you can get little goodies and stuff, but also to keep up with what's hot in the world of NFT and things like that. And Kimberly, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it so much. That's awesome. That's seriously awesome. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us here at Spirituality Gone Wild. Please join us tomorrow on Unify, Women Rising. We will see you then. Bye.